Hello everybody, it's the Saints man here. Let's just move you a bit closer. Small van driver on the CX, my hat on indoors. It's Saturday morning, Saturday 27th. Going to get this done because it's bank holiday weekend and the weather's fantastic. So I'm going to try and shoot through this a little bit quicker, we'll see. Had a fantastic week last week. The title of the video is like, better weather, does work harder? Do you encourage you to work more? It does me because it's just nicer. It's nicer. It's light at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. If you get an early start, it's just lovely weather. And if you like driving like me, it certainly makes it a pleasant. It's time to earn the money. I think this time of year when it's like this. We start with I've got my book with the fuel prices, which was pretty much the same. Both BP and Texaco UK fuel cards come in at 110. One was 110.40, one was 110.60. So about the same. So I tend to use the Esso garage right near where I live because I like their fuel. I think it's decent fuel. It's not. I'll use supermarket fuel. I use it a lot, but if I can get it from Esso on the way home, that's what I do. Starting Monday, I got a job booked in. It was to Sheffield. It was one pickup in Northampton, 12 boxes. Oh, excuse me. And it was a 6 o'clock pickup in the morning. So it was early start, which suits me fine. I'm up anyway. I'll get awake anyway. I always wake early. Got it to Sheffield, delivered it, no problem whatsoever, and picked a job up quite quick from Dronfield. Didn't even know where Dronfield was, but it was near Sheffield. And that to Birmingham, which brings me into a really good area. So quite keenly on that one, and I got that job. I quoted on 3 or 4 jobs. I hadn't got any of them, but I did get that one. And then I was just looking for uh, local work then, thinking I'm going to get home, and a job come up Birmingham to Willenhall, and it was the first time I've done this sort of job. I've done mailbox before, going into buy box, but this was going to a box in a Tesco car park in Willenhall, and it was a drop box with a code and all this. Never done it before. Got quite a large box actually, and got there, and the sun was beating on the screen, and you couldn't see hardly anything. It became a bit of a trial. I pushed the numbers, and you got through on the phone to a helpline because I couldn't hardly see the numbers, and he taught me through it. And to be fair, he was really good. And it opened a box up, and it box pings open, and it wouldn't go in the box. It was too big. So he said, go back in and say you need a bigger box. So he went back in, blah, 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 blah. It took me 15 minutes to sort all this out because the next box it opened still weren't big enough. It was the next size up, and the next one was the right box, and had no numbers on the box, um, but it was box 18. It's come on the screen, I could see that, but I said I ain't got no number on it. He said no, as long as it comes on the screen. He said the engineer will pick that up and he'll all good. So it's a bit of a faff, but I don't think the sun helped on the screen, so you couldn't really see. You had to scan a barcode and all this rubbish, but all good. And I thought, well, that'll probably be it. I'll be going home. So I decided to start making my way towards Northampton, get the other side of Birmingham, between Birmingham and Coventry. And it was getting on in the day. I don't know what time it was, about 4:15, and a job come on. Pick up Coventry, deliver to Newton Abbot, and it would deliver at 9 o'clock the following morning, which obviously is between Exeter and Torquay. So it was a long old trek. And I thought, and it said one small item. So I bid on it, and I thought, well, if I get it, I'll travel. I could either do two choices: go home, sleep in my own bed, get up at 4 o'clock, or I could travel down, depending on the size of the box. If it was small, I could sleep in the back, and it was. I got the job, and took me down to Newton Abbot, and it was to a Lidl store, and it was to meet an engineer the next morning. So I drove down to Newton Abbot, had a shower on the way down at the motorway services, knew I'd be tramping. And I thought, well, I'll get to where the store is and we'll see what the crack is. And they were still open. It was 9:10, and they were still open. And they would have probably took the item, but I thought, no, I'll leave it till the morning. Because it was a different, he wasn't going to be on first thing, the two managers, they were on the late shift. So I thought, no, I'll leave it. But I did go in and speak with them and say, look, I'm delivering here tomorrow morning, meeting an engineer. Do you mind if I sleep in your car park? It was a really quiet area in Newton Abbot. And they said, no, no problem at all. So that's what we did. We tramped there. Slept really well actually. And next morning, woke up, got the kit all away, all the camp bed and everything, and I didn't give it to the engineer because he weren't going to get there until a bit later. He'd let him know he'd be a little late. So the store manager said, "I'll sign for it, no problem, and give it to him when he comes in." So that was at 8:15. And I decided there was nothing. There was no work coming out of that area. I thought what I should probably do is travel up to near Exeter. So I thought, right, I'll travel up. It's about 20 miles, 15 miles. I thought if I travel 10 miles just before 38 and park somewhere near Exeter, then I'm primed to get an Exeter job, Honiton, Oakhampton, and I could go back to Plymouth or something if there was something juicy. Well, believe it or not, I did that and I just got there and a job popped up from Torquay to Exeter. And Torquay's about 3 miles from Newton Abbot. So it was nearly as far to go back as it was to deliver, but it was hospital to hospital. It was good money. I put good money on it because I knew not many people like doing hospitals. I don't mind. And I did. I got over £1 a mile both ways, including getting there. So that was good. And I booked that in. And then I was looking for a job and I struggled. It was quite sparse. The Southwest is. You take that chance. Then a job come up from Columpton to Bristol, and it was alcohol delivery, 6 kegs to a golf club south of Bristol. And I quoted quite strong, but I thought I don't mind doing it if it's just 6 kegs. And I got it. There was 2 or 3 drivers around, but I got it for a decent rate as well. And I thought, well, that'll do. That'll do me nicely. And I got to Bristol, and it was 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, something like that. I can't remember now. And I thought I'm going to struggle to get anything now because it's a bit later in the afternoon. But there was a couple of jobs come on, and a job come on picking up in Bristol, but it was 10 miles south of Bristol, and I was about 8 miles from it, and it was delivering to Cheadle, and it was JCB. It was JCB Earth Movers, and you got to take it to an engineer, and you got to get there. Like it wasn't delivery in the morning; it was delivered then. And I thought, you know what? If I can get a good quote on it, JCB people might not be that keen, but it didn't really bother me because it was going to be my last job of the day, and if I was waiting, I was going to stay out anyway. But so I got it. I got the job, and got it to Cheadle, and I got to be there before 7:30 at night, and I got there at 7:20. But I chatted to the guy I was meeting, so I didn't even have to go into the Earth Movers. I went to the reception at the front. If you ever been to JCB Cheadle, it's on the front. I went on the front reception, the glass bit. I phoned him up, and he come and met me. It was easy as you'll get ever at JCB. Delivered that, and then I was obviously tramping. I weren't going home because I was too far from home, and it was getting on. It was by the time I did paperwork, it was about 7:30, and decided I was going to look for somewhere to tramp. So parked for night again, come up Trumps, and I parked in Willington, which is right near the Burton services, but on the A50. On the A50, there's a Burton services on the A50, A38, I think something like that. Anyway, and Willington's just down the road, about a mile down the road. So again, I managed to get a shower and got to Willington, and it's a communal car park between about 3 pubs, right next to the canal. Beautiful spot, but the only issue is there's a railway line runs right along the side, and they run up until late. I mean, the last one was 11. I went in the pub, had a meal, treated myself, had a meal and a beer, a Guinness. I hadn't got nothing booked in the next morning, but I thought, you know what? It don't matter. But I'm not staying out a third night. I've done 2 nights, Monday, Tuesday, which is fine. Slept brilliantly. Absolutely slept like a log. I didn't wake up until 7:15. And I've got a kettle, I've got a stove and that. I can make a nice cup of tea. And I can even do a bowl of porridge if I want on the stove. I've got a cooker and everything. So I've got all the gear. And I got up, I thought, well, I'll have a little walk along the canal, stretch my legs. I had a wet white wash, which I call a cat lick. My dad would call that a cat lick. And thought, well, we need a job. And there was jobs. It was quite busy, but I weren't getting them. And the job that I quoted, but I didn't think I'd have a chance. I thought I'd have a chance on 2 or 3 of the jobs. I thought I should be all right here in Derby and Burton. I'm right near. And the job I quoted on was from Nottingham to Bradford. And I quoted on that. I thought, well, if I get that, that's fine, but I won't get that at that because I was 20 miles away plus. And I did. I got it. And I'd quoted for the miles getting there as well. And I was amazed because there was drivers in Nottingham. So it sort of rang alarm bells. But all it was three large boxes which fitted in the back of the van and went to Bradford to a company. And yeah, so I was on the road. I was up and on the road. I didn't pick up till 9. It took me nearly an hour to get from where I was to Nottingham because the traffic around Nottingham, because it's rush hour. But the shipper, I kept them informed. They were happy. They said, not a problem. So we did. We went to Bradford. And then I'm looking, right, I'm being selective. I got this letter. There was jobs, but I wanted to come south. I wanted to get home. There's a bike night at the cafe we used to run. They still run a bike night. I wanted to get home. So I sat and waited. I could have got a job to Aberdeen. I could have got. I could have bid on a job to Aberdeen. But a job then popped up from Leeds to LS1, right the centre of Leeds, to Birmingham. And I thought, that would do. If I could get that, that would do. And I quoted on it and I did get it. It was a bit of a faff, to be honest. It was from a private hospital and they didn't know much about it. They didn't know that I hadn't got a reference number, and I had to phone the shipper who got in touch with the customer, and it took about 25 minutes to sort out. I thought it was going to be cancelled. I thought they hadn't got what he wanted, but it didn't. It was a small box that I took in the end, and I took it to a delivery point that I delivered to the week before in Kings Norton, South Birmingham. So I dropped that there and delivered that, and that took me into the afternoon. I can't think what the time was. It's about 3 o'clock ish, something like that. And I drove. I weren't far from Hotwood Services actually, so I drove to Hotwood Services. I needed fuel. I got fuel at Hotwood, which obviously good job you got a fuel card, and I had something to eat. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to let the traffic was heavy around a 42 and the 40. I thought, you know what, I'm going to wait and sit. And I managed to get a job for the next day because I knew I was going home from Milton Keynes to Leicester. This is for Thursday. So I thought, well, if I don't get anything going back to Northampton this time around, I'm just going to drive. And I did. I drove home. It was about 50 odd mile, which is not brilliant, ideal, I know, but it's a gallon of fuel. And I wanted to get home. And I did. So Wednesday was my least profitable day of the week. Monday was fantastic. Tuesday was above target. Wednesday was slightly below target, not too far. Thursday, I decided that I wanted to stay local. I wanted to keep local for the rest of the week. I'd got good money in the start, and if I did local stuff, I would be over target. And I did the Milton Keynes job. Again, it was an early start. I had to leave the house at 6, and I had to pick up at 7 in Milton Keynes. It's 6:45 to 7, and I did, and it was a pallet, and it was going to Leicester. And they were large boxes actually. 6. We took them off the pallet. I don't know why the bloke took them off because it would have gone in with a pallet, but he just stripped the pallet and put it in the back. So fair enough. And then I was looking for a job, and I'm in Leicester, and I was there and delivered at 8:30, right near the M1 on the retail park. I was on the business park bit, and the feed was banging. It was pinging, and I decided, right, but I quoted on about 5 jobs at low-ish rates, going to Rugby or to Coventry or to Birmingham, one to Nottingham. Not a sniff. So guys doing local stuff are doing it a lot cheaper than what I'm prepared to do it, but that's fine. I'm not going to go below mine. My minimum is 30 quid, and I normally put in 35 quid because it's going to take you, even a small job, it's going to take you over an hour. And I just think it's worth the extra money. But I didn't get any. But there was a job on there from Leicester to Ely, which is a place that not much work comes out of Ely, not much work at all. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to quote. I quoted over £1 a mile because I know that no one want to go to Ely. It had got pays a certain amount, but I put extra on it and thought, well, I'll do it for that, but I'm not doing it for what they want it for. And I got a phone call, and he says, would you split the difference? I was a tenner above their thingy. I says, to be honest, no, because you'll know as a shipper, I'm going to get to Ely and I need to get back, and I'm not going to get no work. I'm going to have to drive to Cambridge, or I'm going to have to drive to Peterborough or Huntingdon before I get any work. I says, and that's why I've put the extra on. And he was fine about it. He says, fully understand, I appreciate it. He said, can you get there within 15, 20 minutes? I said, yep. He says, I'm going to send it over to you anyway. So that's good. And I've worked with this shipper before, and I could fully understand. They're trying to make a bit of profit, more profit, but he understood my situation and still give me it. So and I went to Ely, and it was a delivery. It was a pallet, small pallet again, and dropped that off in Ely. And as I was dropping it off, I there was a job on there from Huntingdon to Rugby, and it was with a shipper I know really well. I think he subscribes as well. I won't mention him, but he'll know the job. I phoned him up, and he said, "Yeah, go on, I'll send it over." And I got to travel, but the pickup worked for about an hour and 20 minutes after I dropped in Ely. But that suited me fine because it took me a fair while to get out of Ely and get across to Huntingdon. But we did it. Got there, and I appreciate the work from the shipper. And yeah, I think he could have perhaps got it slightly cheaper. I don't know, but he gave me the job. I still thought I put a pretty fair quote on it for both. It suited me. It got me to Rugby, which is a good area, and he got the work covered. So now we're in Rugby, and it was early. It was early afternoon. It was like, I forget now. It's about 2 o'clock, and I was looking for work to see if I get anything from there. But I was thinking I'd like to get home, so I'm looking for something localish. But then a job popped up from Northampton, pick up that afternoon. It's from a freight company who put the odd stuff on there, and I've worked for them before. Nice bloke in Northampton, and it was pick up, deliver Friday morning, 8 o'clock in Pershore. So it was pick out of Northampton. I thought that could suit me just fine because I've been Pershore's not a brilliant house. Where I got my van from, believe it or not, I got that from a dealer in Pershore. I mean, I've only ever been there to the dealer and one job in 3 years. And so I quoted on it, and he phoned straight away, and he says, "Dave, if you can pick it up before 4 o'clock," and I said, "I can get it before 3 o'clock." I said, "I'll come now." I said, "'Cause I could do an early finish." He went, "Brilliant." He said, "There is handball at the other end, 'cause it's going to residential," and I'm like, "Okay." I put a good price on it, and because I've got to go back from Rugby to Northampton to pick it up, and it was a pallet of printing, which weighed a good bit. It was probably we estimated at 300. I think it was near 400 kilos. It was 46 boxes of printing, and they were quite heavy. No problem, but just heavy pallet. And I was beginning to think may have to unload all this because it's going to a residential address in Pershore. So I was like, that finished. Thursday, 3 o'clock, done. On to Friday, and Friday was a mega day. It was day before bank holiday, so it's always busy. And I started from home, obviously, to Pershore. I got to be there at 8. I left the house at 6:15. I was in Pershore by 7:30, 7:20. I know Pershore now because I've been to the dealers a couple of times and I've done a job. And there's a Greggs and a garage right near where I was delivering, right near, within 2 minutes. So I went there, got a porridge from Greggs, cup of coffee, and chilled. And when I got to the address, it was a big semi-detached house, but it stood back off the road about 40 yards. Luckily, they got a drive, so I pulled onto the drive. A lady was there, and bless her, I thought, there's no way she's going to be taking these off. I thought, I've got a horrible feeling it's going to be me. And she was so pleased I got there. It was a birthday, bless her. And I says, "Please tell me you've got two big strapping blokes coming out to give me a hand." She says, "Not quite." She said, "I've got one and a half." I went, "Okay." And out come her husband, and it was leaflets that she drops around people's houses, not door to door. She's got 18 drops of these leaflets, and they distribute them in various places. So she knew what it was all about. And yeah, he came out, her husband, and a 16-year-old lad come out who was. She said, "It's good job he come because he's going at 8:30. It would have been just you and my husband." She wasn't doing it, bless her. So we worked it off. I was in the van, passed it like a chain. She'd already got a pallet, so she put a pallet on the floor. Beautiful sunny morning. Bosh. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, done the lot. And she had the pallet as well. I said, "You have to take the pallet, unfortunately, because I'm a courier." She went, yeah, I know. She said, that's fine. She says, when I get 10, I've got a guy who comes and pays me and collects them. So worked it out well. So Pershaw's not the best area. And I'm thinking I'm going to be here a while. But I only want a little job back and I'm on target for the week. I said, one little job. That's all I need. Target. And there was a job on there from Worcester to Wednesbury. One item. And Worcester was 10 miles from me. And I thought, okay. And I want this job. But I thought, there's no driver in Worcester. I checked on who was nearby. There wasn't a driver. A small van driver. There was an extra long wheelbase and that. So I quoted high. I quoted getting there as well, over £1 a mile. The first job was over £1 a mile. Obviously handballing, but it was over £1 a mile. So I quoted the second job and got it. He phoned me up. He said, brilliant. So I took that to Wednesbury and sat at Wednesbury, little engineering place. There's loads of little units there. It's a really busy area, West Midlands. I thought I'm bound to get a good job here, get one to, Northampton or Milton Keynes, anywhere. And a job popped up. There was a few jobs. There was quite a few jobs. Nothing to do in my way. And I quoted on 3 or 4 to Coventry, not a sniff. So I knew I was quoting too expensive, but I don't want to go any cheaper. I don't want to do 25 quid jobs. I want to do 30 to 35. It's just the way I am. I'm not prepared to do a 25 quid job from like Walsall to Coventry. Got to get to it, pick it up, deliver it. Yeah, it may only take an hour or an hour and a half, but it's just, no, just don't do me. So there was a job on there, Walsall, 4 miles from where I was, to Spalding, which is, again, a poor area, but it paid over £1 a mile. And I thought, I can do this job. It was call only. It was an urgent job. So I phoned the gentleman up. Nice bloke, Steve. And I says, I can do this job for you, Steve. I said, I'm 4 miles away. I said, 10 minutes. He went, fantastic, mate. He says, it's just three small items going to Spalding. And he says, he was so chill. He says, I'll pay you over the weekend as well. He said, it's got me out of a jam. I went, that's fine. So off to Spalding, and we got a really good rate on it. It's over 108 miles it was, and I was over £1 a mile. So I thought, well, that's brilliant. That's me over my target for the day. I ain't going to get anything out of Spalding, but because I've done 3 jobs all over £1 a mile, I can drive over from Spalding. It's 57 miles, which it was, and I'll still be okay for money, and I'll be home. I don't know, 4ish. It's all right. So yeah, sorry. Anyway, so we did. We drove to Spalding. Bit of a faff because once you get past Peterborough, you're on A roads and it's bank holiday. There's motorhomes and bloody caravans going to Skegness. So took a while. Let's put it that way, but all good. Got it delivered, and we're at Spalding. It was on a massive farm. It was one that produced produce like lettuce and salads, and it was a huge distribution centre for the farm. And it was for coolers, parts for a cooling machine, so it needed doing. And I thought that'd be it. And I thought, well, that's lovely. I'll just have a trundle home. I'll be home by 4. We went out last night. I can tell, feeling a bit ropey this morning. And unbelievably, there was a job from Boston, and it was with a ship I use a lot. It was from hospital in Boston going to Huntingdon. And I was like, wow, I'm going to quote on it. I was only 14 mile away, and it had to be picked up before 2:30. I thought I can get there for that. Quoted on it, over £1 a mile again. I thought I'm going to quote over £1 a mile. If I'm going to do it and make it a real long ass day, then I'm going to quote over £1. And there was no other driver, so I think I was going to get it if I'd have quoted even higher. But I was happy with the rate. I'm sure I could have got like 140 or something like that, but I'm happy with the rate I got. And I think the shipper makes a bit of money. I made already, and I got it straight away. The only thing was, it was 13 or 14 miles from where I was, and SatNav and my Google said it's going to be 42 minutes because everyone's going to Skegness. But hey, I did phone the shipper and tell him that it's going to be, it's going to be a while, and he said it's fine. He said it's absolutely fine. And I took it to a company who deals with all striker cases in Huntingdon. I've been there a few times. I know it's a great easy drop, and then I'm only 35 miles from home. So I got good money on that. So I did 4 jobs Friday, and it's the first time in 3 years that every job paid over £1 a mile. So cracking day, and I ended up 34 miles, 35 miles from home. So really good day Friday was. Pence per mile was way up. Smashed target for the day with 4 jobs, and it made my week. It rounded off my week really well. And to top it off, I picked a job up for Tuesday. I'm not working Monday. I picked a job Tuesday, pick up 8 o'clock to Lichfield from Northampton. So I've got Tuesday to start 8 o'clock pickup, so I haven't got to get mega early because I've done 5 early starts this last week. So that's my total week. I did 1,759 miles, which is a lot, 5 days, but that's okay. I worked 58 hours total every hour. That included waiting around and all that. So yeah, I did 12-hour days. Well, 11, not quite 12-hour days every day. I mean, Monday was a really long day when I ended up in Newton Abbot. So I worked hard and I did 40 hours driving, total driving in that 58 and 3/4 hours. And my total was 1,180. Then you add the VAT, which comes out at £1,416. I now pay 10% to our friends at HMRC, and that takes off 141.60, so ends up gross 1,274.40. I divide that by 5, and I average £254.88 a day. So very happy with that. Very happy. I worked. You ain't gonna get that. Ain't gonna fall in your lap. Let me tell you. That's through working, being flexible. 2 nights out. So if you think, oh, he's done a mega amount, yeah, he has done a good amount. But bloody hell, he's worked. I have worked. So anyone thinks, oh, bloody hell, the Statesman makes it look easy. It ain't easy. It ain't easy. Your other YouTubers will tell you it is still bloody hard. A couple of jobs fell in my lap. Friday just fell in my lap. The 4 jobs. But it doesn't happen like that every day. It's just one of them things. But I have had a couple of good last couple of weeks have been good. Again, we've got a bank holiday Monday, no work. So we've got 4 days for trying to average 200 a day. So that 1274, that 200 is Monday's paid for, but I had to work hard. So I don't work weekends, very rare, unless someone offers me a lot of money and it's a wait and return. I don't normally do weekends. I like to have weekends off, and that's what I'm going to do now. I said I was going to try and do this quick, and it's 28 minutes. So I apologise it took a long while, and if you're still with it, stuck with me, well done. Have a great weekend. I'm going out blasting on motorbikes Sunday and Monday. We're going to Derbyshire tomorrow on the touring bike, and Monday I'm going to take the quick bike out and have a razz around somewhere with a couple of the guys. So, hope you have a great weekend. The weather is spot on, and next week the weather looks great as well. And what I said, the better the weather, it just makes the job easier. You ain't getting out in rain, you ain't freezing cold. Tramping, Monday and Tuesday, I tramped Monday and Tuesday, didn't even put any heating on in the van. And once I boiled my kettle on the gas thing, it warmed the van up and it was warm. It wasn't cold at all. So, have a great weekend. If you like what you listen to, this crap and drivel that I talk about, then please like and subscribe. If you don't subscribe, subscribe. It's free. And apparently if you ring a bell or something, I don't know. Ring a bell, you'll get it when the next one comes out. So have a good weekend, guys. Speak soon.